Hello guys, what's up? My name is Sam, or Chaotic, and welcome back to another GTA 5 video here on my channel. Now in today's video, I'm going to be discussing 10 things we want to see in the Gunrunning Part 2 update. In case you guys didn't watch my video that I uploaded earlier today, there's a good chance this next update coming out in just 10 days time on December 12th will be an extension or a follow-on to the Gunrunning update that was released earlier this year in June. And there's plenty of things that we'd like to see in this update. So let's get straight into things and begin by discussing vehicles. There are actually quite a few vehicles we were expecting to receive in the original Gunrunning updates, which unfortunately just weren't added. For starters, it was very surprising that we didn't receive a new tank. For the past 4 years in GTA 5, there has only ever been one tank in-game, that being the Rhino. And although we received a range of other cool military vehicles instead, such as the APC and the half-track, they aren't exactly tanks. So I think there's a good chance that Rockstar will at least consider adding one or two into the game with this next update, offering some other alternatives to the Rhino. One in particular I think would be pretty cool is the Renault FT-17, the tank which I'm driving around right now in the gameplay. It is a World War I tank which features in Battlefield 1, a game which I play a lot of, and that's partially why I'm suggesting it right now in the video, but it's just a really cool tank in general. But there are plenty of tanks for Rockstar to choose from, such as the M1A1 Abrams and the Challenger 2 Megatron, just to name a few, but the main issue with the tanks is storing them. And maybe that's why Rockstar didn't add any new ones with Gunrunning, because they're simply too big to be storable in our garages. But then again, the MOC, of course released with Gunrunning, is too big to be storable in our garages, and it got its own storage area in the underground bunkers. And just like how the special vehicles from the import and export update last year, they were given their own storage area under the vehicle warehouses. So if Rockstar was to release some new tanks into the game, then maybe these tanks and other large vehicles could be storable in the new business properties coming with this update. Anyway, moving on though to another vehicle we're also surprised that we didn't receive in the original Gunrunning update was the Humvee. The military Humvee is pretty iconic, as I'm sure you guys know, and was actually going to be in GTA 5 prior to the launch. It can be seen in a number of beta images in-game, and can be found in the game code as well, and was going to be named the Squaddy. Now this vehicle in the beta wasn't weaponized or anything like that, it was pretty basic looking and looked something like this. Basically, it was just a military-style version of the Patriot, which we have in-game already. I'm not really too sure why Rockstar didn't add this when they released GTA 5, but for one reason or another, it was cut from the game during the beta. Now, I'm pretty sure if Rockstar was ever to release this into the game, we wouldn't get this version. Instead, they'd have to improve it and update it a little more. Maybe made to look a lot closer to what they look like in real life, just to fit into what we have in-game already. And there could be two different variants of it as well, just a standard version and a weaponized version, or maybe the standard version could be customizable and would have the option of fitting weapons to it. But either way, it would be perfect for this update. Now, you guys may recall, following the release of the Smuggler's Run update earlier this year in late August, there were rumors going around that the next update might be sea-based. Because the Gunrunning update was ground-based, the Smuggler's Run update was air-based, so it would make sense to finish things off to release a sea-based update in the game. Which in theory sounds pretty cool, but in reality, I can't really see it being all that popular if it was a dedicated theme. But there is certainly potential there. And although releasing a dedicated sea-based update wouldn't be all that great, it doesn't mean a few sea-related features can't be incorporated in this next update. For example, one thing that some players have asked for before is the addition of the aircraft carrier in GTA Online. We already have one in the game, but currently it's only usable in select missions and heists. But adding this into free mode online wouldn't exactly take all that much, and it would be pretty awesome as well. And like yachts, there could be the option to buy your own, customize it, and so on. And the aircraft carrier could be used as a property or a base either for the new businesses to produce and manufacture stock, or just be used to store military vehicles and aircrafts and stuff like that. Then as for some other sea-related items, warships. I talked about the addition of these after the release of Gunrunning earlier this year, and it got a fair bit of support from you guys. In theory, it'd be pretty awesome to give the sea more of a use. After all, the sea is pretty neglected in GTA Online, and we haven't really received much content that involves the sea over the past few years, and just the addition of warships would provide some more action at sea. It's something which would open up a number of possibilities, and just imagine battles between warships at sea with a range of numerous types of warship available to buy from. I could definitely see a few game modes and adversary modes involving these as well. And as for storage, I could definitely see warehouses available at the docks to store these warships, similar to how you can store planes in your Smuggler's Run hangar, where you can both store and customize these ships as well. But there are certainly loads of possibilities when it comes to military ships and the sea. For example, maybe some military submarines, which fire torpedoes and stuff like that. That would certainly be pretty cool. Now, something which I've also talked about briefly in the past are UAV planes. These of course being remote-controlled surveillance aircrafts, with some having weapons. I think these would be a pretty cool addition to GTA Online, as I'm sure you guys will agree. I've seen a few comments about these recently on various videos of mine. If added, they wouldn't necessarily be storable, but more something you could call in, similar to how the Juggernaut suit works. Once purchased, you can either call someone on your phone, maybe a contact, or you can select it from the interaction menu, and then a few moments later, once it's taken off and it arrives to your location, you can then take control of it remotely and fly it around. But something like this would have to be limited to a certain degree. Maybe it'd have a limited flight range, so basically it could only fly so far away from your location before it loses signal and then crashes, or maybe there'd be a limited flight time of a few minutes, and after that use, you'd have to wait a number of minutes then before calling in another one, similar to how the Juggernaut suit works. And there could also be the option of upgrading it. So the standard version is just a surveillance UAV. It will only be able to fly around and surveil the area, but you'd have the option to upgrade it and fit weapons, things such as missile launchers and stuff like that. I could definitely see something like this in the game, and it would certainly be very useful, especially during free mode battles or against other organizations. And similar to this are miniature remote control cars. These again would be something you can call in from the interaction menu, like the Juggernaut suit. They would then drop into free mode via crate drops and then controllable remotely. Once you pick them up and you've gotten yourself into position, maybe hiding somewhere out of sight, you can then drive them around just to scope out areas, or maybe have the option of fit bombs to them to then drive up to people and take them out. Now admittedly this idea was inspired by one of my all-time favorite games, Call of Duty Black Ops, but I could definitely see something like this in GTA 5 also. Now again, there'd have to be a few limitations with these to stop them from being overpowered, such as limited drive times or limited range, so you can only drive so far away from your location before it loses signal and can't be used anymore. But maybe these things could be improved via upgrades, but there'd still have to be some form of limit to stop players from driving these around endlessly and making them too overpowered. Anyway, but moving on to possible business ventures that we'd like to see in Gunrunning Part 2, one idea involves military and weaponized vehicles. Similar to import and export, this business would involve the sourcing and stealing of vehicles to take back to your warehouse, where you could then begin upgrading and fitting weapons to them to then sell to buyers. The import and export business was, and still is, an extremely popular business in GTA Online, and pairing this up with the Gunrunning military theme would just be extremely awesome in my opinion. Again, this idea offers plenty of potential and options, and is definitely something I could see being popular, as I'm sure you guys will agree. Now, with this being a follow-on to the Gunrunning updates, let's discuss weapons. Now, we haven't received any new weapons in GTA Online for a while, despite demands from players for new ones. I know with Gunrunning we saw the addition of the Mark II weapons, but this was more of a feature which allows players to upgrade and customize the weapons that we already have in game a lot more. And don't get me wrong, it's a great feature, but currently it's only possible to upgrade a few select weapons. So Rockstar should definitely make all weapons in game upgradable to Mark II, as well as add some new weapons in the game as well. And again, I'm sure you guys have loads and loads of your own ideas and suggestions, some including the flamethrower, which I think would be pretty cool. Personally, I also like the idea of more throwables, things such as tomahawks. And there's also plenty of weapons in-game already which still haven't been made available online, which could easily be added, such as the stun gun and the railgun. But moving on to the final suggestion for today's video, we've seen the addition of many special vehicles in the game over the past year, with weaponized cars, rocket-powered cars, and a flying bike. So at this point, the addition of the jetpack in-game surely wouldn't be too far-fetched. After all, there's a jetpack in GTA San Andreas, and there are also numerous references in the game already, with lines of codes in the game file and stuff like that, and there are plenty of Easter eggs and teases in the game as well, all hinting towards the jetpack being in-game. The idea being, Rockstar wants players to try and search for it, despite the fact that it's not actually in-game. It's just one of those things Rockstar's put in the game to tease players, even though it's not actually there. But finally, adding it into the game as a buyable item would be awesome, as I'm sure all of you guys will agree. And again, there would have to be some limitations, such as limited usability, flight times and stuff like that, but it's just one of those things we'd all like to see in-game. Anyway, but with that being said, that's pretty much it then for today's video. I of course want to get your thoughts and feelings on all of this. What do you guys think about some of the suggestions I've made and discussed in today's video? And if you guys have any ideas of your own, of course let me know by leaving a comment on this video. I want to hear about some of the ideas, the content and the features that you guys think we should receive in GTA Online in a Gunrunning Part 2 update. So go ahead and let me know right now by leaving a comment on this video. If you guys could also drop a like as well, it would of course be greatly appreciated and it helps me out a lot. And if you haven't subscribed to my channel, make sure you do, because I upload all the latest and the greatest Grand Theft Auto 5 content. So as always guys, thank you very much for watching, and I will see you guys next time.